Chapter 9, or What Grief Does. So, you guessed it. We are a year on, and now I am 23. So, I've had up until this point 7 years of continuous people passing, a year reprieve, and then two at the age of 22. So, it was safe to say that it's taken its toll by this point. And as I explained in my previous chapters, I delved into those sparkles and feathers. And frankly, anything I could do to express joy and confidence, though that was simply a mask, because actually that was covering up the fact that I was experiencing this feeling of just utter sadness and having no idea who I was. I was lost. And that brings us to another reflection, because what I found over the years is, and this may be something that you resonate with if you're on that journey, that grief strips something from you. Because when somebody that you love, that your family loves, that your friends love, somebody that's close to you, that has you've connected with, that's changed you in a certain way, that means a lot in your life, dies, it's as though they take a part of you with them, and they don't mean to do that, but it feels like that. So for me, I was trying to find those parts, because what it also does is it leaves you wondering. And this is what it did for me. It left me wondering if I will ever get that piece of the puzzle back, or will it forever stay blank and I'll never be able to find it again? And that's something that now I have accepted is part of the journey, and that I have to just give it time to see. But back then, at that age of 23, I had no idea that that was part of the journey, and I resented it. I was frantically trying to find it. And I'd experienced 10 years of this. So that was 10 years of the pieces of the puzzle being taken away. That's a lot of missing puzzle pieces, whether that was losing a source of strength at 12, or what a relationship with a family member could have been at 19. So now I was fixated on trying to find all those pieces. So, as I said before, I badly feathered and sparkled a t-shirt. I applied layers of makeup and tried to run from it all in my mind. That heavy makeup, oh, the foundation line, I cringe now. I cringe. It followed me to another funeral. A family member on my father's side this time, which meant it was time to go back to his hometown, which only 3 years earlier I was staring at those Dalmatian spots that you may remember from another chapter. So that felt strange as well, because that brought up all those memories of thinking, what relationship could I have had if things had been different? What relationship would that person have had with me and the rest of my family if things had been a bit different? But also what it meant was being at a funeral where I saw another coffin followed by another 12 coffins. So as before, as I did in funerals, and as I still do, though not as much now because I've learned how to manage those feelings, I try to be elsewhere in my mind. I try to desensitize. I try to make myself believe that I wasn't there, because my mind was breaking. It was splitting at the seams with this incredible weight of grief. Like I spoke about before, that those shackles, those chains, incredibly heavy. So I continue to try and fake that fabulous side and use that heavy makeup and those sparkles and those feathers, and now as well casual hookups, which you can read all about that in the coming of age section on my website, because that is a whole different reflection piece altogether. But when I think to this time, and this time of 23, and this time of trying to just navigate and run and all of that, it takes me to another reflection, because we may feel like I did then that we want to run. And I did hard mentally and using different techniques. I ran because the grief is so powerful that we fear that at any moment, if we give it any sort of attention, then we would break. But as someone who's done that running, done that trying to avoid, mentally use different things to just run and not cope. Now, I'm not saying as well that using feathers, sparkles, makeup is not a good way to cope, because actually it can be. There are so many people who have used their pain, their trauma, and turned it into art, or turned it into drag, or turned it into creativeness. That's absolutely fine. But it's really important that you also allow your grief to be what it will be, because it will catch up. No matter what, it will catch up. And sometimes, though, it's also important to remember we're not always going to be able to give it that time. And sometimes, even though you allow it to be what it be, it might be, I can't do this now. And you won't always be able to, because we're human beings. And also we're going to fall, and we're going to go back to those unhealthy habits potentially. But it's about being able to recognize them and the importance of that, which takes a lot of time, a lot of discovery, a lot of patience, and a lot of reaching out. So I was still running at that 23 years of age, and I prayed for a year off. I was in desperation. I was on my knees thinking to whoever was up there, just give me a year of no more funerals, no more death, and just a reprieve. Give me a year where I didn't have to dig at that suit, that black suit that made me panic. Let it gather dust for at least a year. I knew I needed more than a year, but I was trying to also be realistic. And sure enough, death had other ideas. Because the next year, the age of 24, it struck again. A close friend of our family was gone after a long illness. So once again, the suit was dragged out of the wardrobe. The panic attacks were flowing, and the coffins were continuous. And again, I was asking myself, would it ever end? I would be begging, would I be given some time? Would my family be given some time to finally be able to grieve those before, those that have passed, as we should? Could I finally give myself the time to grieve those that have gone? And that felt really heavy. And it feels heavy thinking about this now, but it's how my mindset was. So perhaps, maybe, My 12-year-old self would finally be given the care it longed for. Maybe I'd have a year reprieve. Maybe I'd have 2. Maybe that 12-year-old, like I said, would be given the care, because my God, it needed it. It needed it badly.